right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Canadian Beef Podcast. We're joined with Erik the House Fankhouser today, and we're also joined by his athlete, Jake. What's going on, guys?
How's it going?
Jake, you've been working with Erik for how long now?
A little over 2.5 years.
Okay, cool. So what are you guys up to now with the business?
That's pretty much Erik's realm there. I just help pass out the message. So if he wants to speak half of that.
Yeah, Jake, man, I picked Jake up like he was like a coffee lover like I am. So I picked him up a few years ago with Java Sups. Like he started buying the product and he really loved it. So he's like my social media expert. He likes to share everything and he helps me out a lot, man. I mean, he is like one of the best people that I could ask for to help share it. He's always sharing it and promoting the Java Sups and now with the Jacked House coffee. So hopefully things will take off here soon, but I always appreciate Jake. He's done awesome with it, man. And he started out just loving the supplements and loving the coffee. So he's like a true believer behind it.
Beauty. Do you have any other athletes right now, Erik, or is it just Jake?
Right now it's just Jake. He's pretty much my main guy.
Nice.
And I mean, he just does it because he loves it, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. We don't even do the supplements anymore. It's just me and Jake are just big coffee heads, man. We just love coffee. So like, it's just natural for us to just promote it. I mean, it's pretty much just like a friendship type relationship with the coffee. I mean, I send him coffee. He helps promote it. He even buys it because I don't even send him enough. So he's probably one of my leading customers in buying it too, man. He's definitely a coffee junkie.
How many cups a day you drinking, Jake?
Honestly, I'm probably at like 2.5 pots.
Sometimes 2.5 pots. Okay. So that's like what, like 25 cups?
About that. Yeah. I'm like, I believe I got to make another pot already.
Yeah. Damn. I mean, I was just saying today, because I'm up to like 2 coffees a day and I'm like, I got to cut back. But I also do like a pre-workout as well. So that's like probably 2 coffees right there in a pre-workout, right? So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do pre-workout as well. And it's like, it's so funny, though, because with the Army, my caffeine tolerance has gone like way up here. So it's like I've cut back a few times in the past, didn't really notice a difference. So,
yeah,
I mean, and my coach doesn't really care too much since I'm still getting my water intake in there, too.
Right. Do you believe that coffee counts towards your daily water intake, or does it not count because it's a diuretic?
Honestly, I don't really count it. I tried in the past and then I was feeling like, obviously the effects of a diuretic. So I end up kind of keep my water at like 1.5, 2 gallons, depending on what we want to do. And then just coffee, I just go with like, I want another coffee.
Yeah.
I would say for daily intake for me, man, like it has to be counted in my daily intake, because if so, I'd have 0 water and I would have died like a long time ago. So it has to count.
Yeah, I already yelled at you a few times for that one.
Yeah. So you're like, I'm drinking 4 liters of coffee a day. That counts.
Oh, hell yeah, it counts. Yeah. I mean, it has to count. You know what I mean? And if you can't drink it, you eat it. You know what I mean? That's the way I'll say it. If they would take it out of my allowance when I was competing as in water, that's why I started eating the coffee, man. I just would eat it.
So yeah, I'm curious. Why did you eat the coffee instead of just like drinking it back in the day? And do you still do that, or is that you just drink it now?
I do eat a lot of chocolate covered coffee beans, if that counts. But but like in all honesty, like when I was cutting back my water, I still needed my coffee, so I just started like adding it to my meals, especially when it got close to contest, because I was like, man, I'm drinking like a pot of coffee a day. You know what I mean? And all this water. So it's like, I'm just going to start eating it. You know what I mean? I'm just going to put it in it. I would season my food with the coffee, just put it in there. You know what I mean? Spice it up a little bit.
Yeah. Have you ever done coffee rice? Because that was a big thing, like maybe 10 years ago. I don't know if you've ever seen this either, Jake, but it was on the internet, like when bodybuilding.com, like when forums were kind of a thing and people were posting, what they were doing like pre-contest. A lot of the guys, I think it was like Nick Wright and some of these other guys, they were doing rice and then they would put coffee grinds in it and then they would do like honey in it as well. And then have that, I guess, like leading up into the show. And then I guess the coffee in the rice would kind of act as a diuretic. I guess it would give you a little bit of energy, a little bit of flavor as well. And then the honey, I guess, for extra carbs. I don't know. It was an interesting thing. I did try it a few times, but I did definitely notice like eating it, you get, because you're not intaking the water with it, obviously, when you're just eating it, that you would get more of a diuretic effect.
I've tried it, but I did it a little different. I would actually boil my rice in the coffee when it was already brewed.
That's hardcore.
Yeah, I would boil it in it.
So you'd have like brown rice, basically, right? It'd be like,
yeah. I mean, you want a lower glycemic, So
yeah, for sure. You should make a coffee blend that people can put into their rice, like a special like rice house blend. I don't know.
That's right.
That might not sell very well.
I've done it in the oats too, man. I've done it with oats. Same thing, either cooked it in the coffee or added it to it.
Yeah. I've definitely done it in protein shakes too. If you throw your coffee in there, like with a good, like vanilla whey, that can make it taste really nice. And you got like an ice cap, especially if you put some ice in there. That's a good little treat.
Yeah, I like it with chocolate whey the most.
Okay. Yeah.
For whatever, like that mocha flavor. So.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. No, nice. That's awesome. Okay. So today we're going to talk a little bit about some of our funniest contest prep stories. I know Erik's got some good ones. You got any good ones, Jake?
I have a few. Probably not Erik's, because I've heard a few of those.
Okay. Okay. Let's hear yours first, Jake. What's your funniest contest prep story?
I would have to say, when it like all boils down to it, you realize how close you are in a relationship. And I know I've talked to Erik about this. So like, obviously my first contest, I was shaving here and there, keeping up on it. But as you know, like shaving and tanning, you got to get in those hard to reach areas. Can't really see anything, like your hamstrings.
Yep.
So I'm like, I reach out to Erik. I'm like, dude, like, what do? Did you end up like going somewhere, like having like professionally shaved or waxed or anything? He's like, no, man, I just asked my wife. I'm like, fuck, well, pardon my French, but I'm like, man, like I never really thought about like having to ask her that. So I'm like, hey, honey, it's going to sound really weird, but you might help me shave my glutes and my top hamstrings there. So, you start getting like, I'm in the bathroom and like, man, let me tell you, I think she saw angles of me she did not want to see.
For sure.
You got your leg up on one part of the bathtub. It's spread the other way just so you can get the spots you can't even reach. Then obviously the standing, it was so awkward, man.
Yeah. Like, oh yeah. You gotta do the bent over, the bikini pose.
Yeah.
What did she say after? She was like, that's awesome. I'm glad you included me in this. Or she was like, don't ever ask me to do this again.
While she's doing it, she's like, when you asked me to marry you, because this is what, I don't know, it was like around our 10th year anniversary, 9th year, something like that. She's like, when you asked me to marry you so many years ago, never once did I expect that you would be asking me to do this for you. She's like, I figured maybe when we were older, I'd be having to help like clean you up or something, but not in our 20s. I'm going to be shaving your hamstrings.
Well, it's too late now. She's tied down. She can't go anywhere now. That's good though. You got to have someone that can do that for you, man. Because I don't think it's even possible to do it properly on your own.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. No. It took me about 2 hours to shave last time. My girlfriend and I were standing in the shower for 2 hours because we got the wrong razor blades. We kind of got like the 2-blade ones or like the 1-blade ones. And as soon as we started, we were like, this was a huge mistake. So we went through a whole pack of them. We had like 10 of them. We're like, oh God, we don't even know if this is going to be enough. And everything was closed by then. We were in like the Bahamas. So we got it done, but it was a process. It was like 2 hours standing there. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, you don't realize how long it's going to take because you think like, oh, it'll be fine.
I think what you got to do next time, or at least what I'm going to do, because I used to do Nair a lot. So I wasn't really too experienced with using the razor. I would just do Nair. And then like you'd only need to do like one razor just to kind of get the rest of it. Right. But if you're doing your whole body razor, I think you gotta knock it down with the electric razor and then just finish off with the razor blades. Cause if you go straight onto that with the razor blade, oh man, it takes forever.
I was always scared with the Nair because I'd always heard that it pulls a little water under your skin. So if you did it, you had to do it like a week or so before your contest prep. You know what I mean? And then shave again. I mean, I don't know how true that is, but I always shave. Like you said, I would knock it down with clippers and then use the razor.
Yeah. Then the Nair is actually really good, but it really depends on your skin. I always tend to use the sensitive skin one because if you have it on there, even like a few minutes too long, it can start to burn your skin. And then it gives you that like rash look. Oh, and that's not good. And then also, I don't know about the holding water, but I would tend to do it like a couple days before.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Eric, what do you got for us?
I have, let's see here. Probably one of my most like embarrassing contest prep story. Let me set the stage here. I was probably 4 weeks out from the New York Pro. So it would have been back in 2010. And, you're at 4 weeks out, you're looking good, So like every moment that you get, you're looking in a mirror, you're just looking to see all your progress. Well, at that point, as you can see, like I need the tan in the tanning bed because I don't have much color on me. I'm pretty pasty white. Yep. So I always went to this shop that wasn't too far away from my house to tan. Okay. And I mean, the people that worked there were like old moms too. It's not like they was hot chicks or anything. So like they don't know anything about bodybuilding. It was just like, what the hell is this big guy doing in here? Yeah. So I would go in the tanning bed and I'd fall asleep because I'd be listening to music in there. I'd be in there for like 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. Well, I fell asleep and I got up. I don't know how long I was sleeping. I got up and there was a mirror there. I'm like, God, I look good, man. I look jacked. I had all this vascularity. You guys know how it looks when you get out of the tanning bed.
Yep.
I was just all jacked. My legs were like freaking ripped, just peeled. My legs were. So what happened was I'm getting up, I'm posing in the mirror, still had my headphones in, listening to the music. All of a sudden, like I see the door was opened up. I didn't even realize it. Don't even know how long the door was open. Well, the lady came in to clean the tanning bed. This old lady, she's just straight standing there looking at me like, what the hell is going on here? She was like, what is this guy doing? She just like, her face turns red. Meanwhile, I'm nude. I'm totally nude. She shuts the door. I'm like, oh shit, what the hell am I going to do now? Am I going to go out there and just like walk by, wave to her? You know what I mean? So I get dressed, walk out there. She's just like staring at me. I walk out. I'm like, I'll see you tomorrow. And the crazy part was I just bought like, I don't know, 2 weeks worth of tanning and I never went back to the shop. I could not go back to the shop.
Oh no.
They actually called me like, I don't know, like maybe 6 to 8 months later. I was like, you're going to use these tanning sessions? I'm like, no, I'm not coming back here, man. Not coming back.
She knew you were in there too. She was just waiting. She's like, I'm going to get a good peek on this guy.
Well, she got a good peek. All right. She got a good peek of my ass crack is what she got a good peek of. Damn. But you know how it is when you're in a tanning bed, when you get out, you just look so good sometimes. And I was just like, God, so I'm in there posing. If I wouldn't have my damn music on, I probably would have heard her come in. I don't know how long the door was open, but it was pretty funny. I'll tell you that much.
That's amazing. I don't know who would be more embarrassed. You or her. Maybe her, because you're probably feeling good. You're like, check this out, right?
I was feeling good, but not good enough to come back. Maybe I gave her the Seinfeld thing. You know what I mean? It's cold. It was cold in there.
Oh man, I don't know if I have anything that can top that. Let me think. How about funny? I do have one. I have an embarrassing story, but it's because I didn't make it to the stage. This was in 2015. And there was a lot of things going on, but I remember in Canada, you didn't need a passport to travel in Canada at the time. So all I had was, I didn't need to bring my passport. So all I had was my driver's license, but my driver's license actually expired like a few days before I had to fly. And I didn't realize that. So when I showed up to fly and I just had an expired license, they were like, oh, you can't fly. You have to go get, or at least have your passport. So I was like, well, this sucks because I pretty much ended up missing the show. So I was like 2 days out, and then I just ended up going back home. And then that was that. I was like, okay, I guess we'll get ready for next year.
Oh my gosh.
I think it happened for a reason, because I wasn't necessarily super confident that I was going to be like my best that year. I think I would have been good, but because it was the first year that I was doing the open, going from a junior to the open. So I wasn't like super confident with my ability to win anyways, but I don't know. It would have been interesting if I did get on stage that year, but then I ended up going the next year for the Canadian Nationals, and I ended up getting, I think 11th or something like that. And then I did come back in 2017 and win. So it was interesting. Yeah. I think things do happen for a reason. I don't know what that reason was, but for whatever reason, just worked out that I didn't end up going. So I don't know. It wasn't one of those things that I was super proud of, because I feel like I was really disappointed for a long time after that. I was like, oh man, like I put in all this work and then I didn't get to showcase it, but that's okay. There's always another show, right?
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you on that. There's always another show. I didn't have like a similar experience, but I kind of did the same thing back before I turned pro. I was going to do the USAs, and it was a few weeks before the North Americans. Okay. And I pulled out like 2 days before the USAs because I just wasn't feeling like I was ready.
Yeah.
And when the North Americans came around, that's the show that I won and turned pro at. So like, I think if I would have did the USAs and would have like completely like dried out, I wouldn't have looked the same at the North Americans, and I probably would have never won, and I would have never turned pro.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I think everything happens for a reason.
It does. Yeah, for sure. Like you have something that's guiding you, like something bigger than yourself.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I agree 100%.
Oh, same. Well, that was like me with I was talking to Erik about that. I ended up tearing my pec. It was beginning of COVID. So it was that, beginning of last year. And sure enough, I was looking to compete, but it's nuts, man, because like I was going from classic physique to open. And obviously like one of my biggest weak points was my legs. So I started training them, but it was nuts because like I couldn't train my upper body for so long. I just started hammering the hell out of my legs. And obviously with Erik's help too, and like his guidance on different ways to be able to hit different angles. And it really made me rethink my whole thought process behind training, like more slow controlled reps, you know what I mean? Like working your way up, just crazy different things. But obviously I wouldn't have been training the way I'm training now if it wasn't for the initial pec tear.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, that's the thing, like with certain injuries, it's like that injury, it's not just a random event. It's usually there's something that causes it, like 99.9% of the time, unless it's a freak accident, like branch worn, like you fall off your horse or something like that. Obviously you can't avoid that. Right. But when you're talking about like training and overuse and injuries that happen in the gym, a lot of the times it's your body just telling you that you have to do something different, Oh yeah. So that's cool. It's like now you have the opportunity to blow up your legs, which is something that you might not have done because you would have just kind of kept doing more or less. You keep doing the same thing that you've been doing, right? It's like, this is what works for me. This is what I'm going to keep doing. I think a lot of guys get stuck in that mentality where what's gotten me to this point is what I need to continue doing. But a lot of the times what you've done up until a certain point has only gotten you to that point because it was a novel stimulus for so long. But then once it stops becoming a novel stimulus, you need to find something else for your body to adapt to. Right. So a lot of the times that's more weight, but eventually it'll catch up to you and you have to find something besides just more weight, whether it's a new exercise or like you said, like a new angle or slowing it down. There's like a million different variations you can do. But obviously at the end of the day, it's trying to find that novel stimulus, because that's what we want our bodies to adapt to. Right.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah. So I have another story that's it is actually kind of funny. So when I came back and I did that show in 2017, it was when they changed over. You guys might not have known this because this is only what's happening in Canada, but we used to have a different governing body. We used to have like the OPA that would kind of cover, like you guys have like the states, we have our provinces. So it would cover the shows within the provinces. And then we'd have the CBBF, which would basically, that would be the governing body that would get you into the IFBB. So you'd kind of have to you'd have to progress through the OPA and then progress through the CBBF, and then you'd get your pro card. Now we just have the CPA, which they just do everything. So before this, it was okay, we'd have our nationals. And then 2017 was the last year we had our nationals. So going from an 11th place in 2016, I had to re-qualify. So I came and did the Toronto, the qualifier to get me to the nationals. And during that show, I had a really crazy peak week because I was working with a coach who, he was called the mad scientist, and he would manipulate a lot of different things. So we did a crazy water load, and I gained 10 pounds of water. And then we did crazy diuretics, and I would lose 15 pounds of water. Anyways, it was interesting because I ended up winning that show. But that year we had an Airbnb, and for some reason we ended up stuck because I had a couple different people. One of my clients was staying with me, and then I had 2 friends that were staying as well. So we all split on this Airbnb, and we were all competing too. So we all kind of brought whatever our junk, whatever our treats were going to be for after the show, but we all overdid it. So we had this giant table in the middle of the Airbnb, and it was a mountain of junk food. It was literally overflowing on the table, piled up 6 feet high. I have a video. I took the video down off YouTube. But we had a video of it, and I was like, dude, this is $500 worth of junk food. And so the night of the show, we're well, we have to destroy all this junk food because we don't want to carry it over, right? And we don't want to bring any of this home. So needless to say, we didn't get through all of it, but we definitely tried our hardest. And I remember everybody wanted to go out oh, we're going to go out after the show. And I was I don't think we're going to be going out after we eat this food. And I was right. So by the end of the night, I was literally maybe not super proud of this, but I'm eating ice cream with candy on top of it and whatever. And by the end of the night, I was barely able to lift my arm to put more food in my mouth. I just remember sliding off the couch, I'm sitting on the couch, and I just slowly slid down onto the floor. And then I just stayed there for 3 or 4 hours. And then I finally went to bed. But I remember just waking up in the morning, and it's none of that even digested at all. It was still all there. So yeah, that was pretty crazy. It was I couldn't breathe because my stomach was so big.
Yeah. Well, that after my first show, right? So obviously you have cravings. Well, I was craving Chinese food. So I'm oh, and I didn't have the experience of competing yet, where throw in salt, sodium in the mix for the show and whatnot. So I'm oh, I don't give a shit. I'm going to order a poo-poo platter for myself. So get home, house the thing. I end up passing out on the love seat. And I went to get up. I don't know what time it was, maybe 3 a.m. Went to get up, and I collapsed to the floor. Couldn't stand. I looked down. My ankles were so friggin' swollen from the sodium.
Wow.
And it was my stomach was so bloated. I'm oh shit. So I kind of get my legs to wake up a little bit, go use the bathroom, go to bed, wake up, and same thing. I'm thinking everything would have digested. I'd feel great. I felt like the shittiest person in the world when I woke up.
Yeah.
It was nothing digested. I just had a mound of hard mass in my stomach.
I think because you eat so clean, so your body stops creating so many of these enzymes that are necessary to break down certain things like gluten or whatever, because you're just eating chicken and rice and fish and green beans. So your body only needs to produce enzymes to break down these foods. Then you throw in all these other foods, and your body's I don't know what to do with this.
Oh yeah.
Plus just the volume of it, right? Because everybody's first show, you don't really know what to expect when it comes to the post-show binging kind of cycle, right? It can be very dangerous for a lot of people, especially for people that maybe have struggled with food issues in the past, or they just have no idea, and then all of a sudden a food disorder pops up out of nowhere because they restricted themselves so much, and then finally they're able to binge. But I think becoming a professional bodybuilder and this type of thing, it really made me realize that this is an important thing for people to grasp, that once you're done with the show, you really need to create a plan of discipline so that you can give yourself like a day or two, but you have to have that day where you're like, okay, whether it's, you know, Monday or Tuesday or whatever you decide, you have to stick to it. It's like, I'm going to eat for 1 day or 2 days. And then right after that, I'm back on the exact same diet that I was on before. And then from there, you can start to slowly move up in calories. But yeah, I definitely made that mistake. Did you ever have any like crazy binges after a show, Eric? Because I know you were super calorically restricted for a lot of your shows. Actually, I'm curious to hear about that as well. But did you ever struggle like after a show, like blowing up a lot, or were you always very disciplined after a show?
No, early on, I would always blow up after. I did the same thing. I'd eat everything that I had ever wanted while I was on the contest prep. And I learned fast, man. I had the same thing happen to me as Jake. My ankles swelled up just as big as my calves. Looked like I had damn moon boots on.
28-inch ankles.
I would say probably my biggest tip, though, is like you said, is to ease back into it. Give yourself maybe a few meals. And my biggest thing was I found that it helped if I continued to do a little bit of cardio when I was eating like that right after the show, just to push everything around. It helped. I don't know if it helped digest or get rid of some of the water retention, just sweating it out after eating like that. Cause I'd do the same thing. I'd binge right after shows, but I learned fast after probably two or three shows that I couldn't do that. I'd give myself maybe a day right after the show and a day, and then I'd ease back into eating normal again. But I'd always continue to do some cardio because I just felt that it helped with the water retention that I got from eating all those extra carbs.
Yeah. Plus, I think it's good to keep that cardio in there because it's another maintenance of discipline. Like it's like, okay, I'm still going to do cardio every day after a show, and that's just a good habit to stay in. Because now I'll just do it like every day, year round, just for like the health benefits and stuff. Especially at a higher body weight, like above 275, I think I need to do cardio year round just to maintain like a good blood pressure and stuff like that. But yeah, for sure, it's definitely one of those things that can be like devastating if you're going into your off season and you just put on like 20 pounds of water and fat and whatever. You're going to be setting yourself up for disaster, because then you're going to start your off season, you know, whether you're going to do a cycle or not, you're not in the best environment anymore hormonally, because you've disrupted a lot of your blood sugar imbalance. You're also probably shooting up your blood pressure as well. And then you're going to go and you're going to start eating more food. Night and day difference. When you can kind of maintain a leaner post-show rebound, you still get the amazing pumps and everything in the gym, but you're utilizing it so much better. So you're actually able to put on maybe a couple pounds of muscle versus like 20 pounds, which maybe you get like 2 pounds of muscle and then 18 pounds of water and fat, which that's not very much fun. But
yeah, I can remember one time I was on stage and I weighed maybe like 218 to 220 on stage. And within a week, I was already back up to like 250, and it was probably the worst I ever felt.
Yeah.
So I learned after that one, gaining like 30 pounds in a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely learned. I never did it again. I always eased back into it.
Was that the most you've ever gained after a show, about 30 pounds?
Like on a rebound, yeah, for me, it was probably about 30 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah. I found that after that, it was bad. Like I'm saying, as I had to do cardio, I had to do something because, like Jake was saying, my legs just swelled up like no other.
Yeah.
So I was to the point where it felt like I was drowning myself. So I couldn't go over 30 pounds. It always evens out. It does. It just takes time for your body to catch up.
For sure. Yeah, exactly. And I think too, it's because people do different things, like water manipulation wise. So the more you manipulate that water balance into the show, the more careful you have to be when you reintroduce like the sodium and the fluid together afterwards. Because I'm using this, I'm using my Zoom. We're not using Paul's Zoom. It's going to end the meeting in 10 minutes.
Okay.
Because I don't have the Pro, I don't have the Zoom Pro. So that's kind of lame, but you know what? That's okay, because we can still get in a couple good stories in 10 minutes, and then we'll we can always jump on another one like next week too.
That's cool. Yeah.
What's the most weight that you gained after a show, Jake? Was it a lot or was it?
Honestly, it was right around like 22 pounds.
Yeah.
But it was nuts. Like I said, I was doing classic beforehand. So for my height, it'd have to drop down to like 180. Like I think it was right under 187.
Yeah.
So usually 85, 186, like barely making it. And I remember the first rebound, and it was like within a week, I ended up gaining 10 pounds. So I was like, how the hell is this possible? It's because you don't like the science behind it. But I want to say it was like right around like 22 pounds or so.
Okay. Yeah. I would say, like 20 pounds is kind of like the average that you kind of bump up in weight after show. 30 is a lot though.
Yeah. Sure, especially when you're only weigh like 218, 220.
Yeah. I was super impressed with, that's Paul, by the way, joining. I was super impressed with how my body stayed lean after this show. Because I didn't go crazy with the food. Like one thing that I didn't do was I didn't stockpile any junk food. I think that's probably like one of the best things you can do is not stockpile any junk food, because a lot of that shit that you buy when you're on your hardcore contest prep, you don't even really want it when you're done anyways. So I think now the best thing, like the best strategy that I have in place is to go out and eat rather than like eating at home when it's going to be a cheat meal, right? Like that way you're not buying and bringing in a lot of junk to the house. You're going out there for your purpose to eat what you want. Then you come home and you're back to your diet. And then if you do buy anything for the house, like we bought some cookies, there's like just, you buy one pack of cookies, you eat those cookies, you share them, whatever. And then that's it. That you don't have like a drawer or a cabinet or a pantry is just full of all the goodies, right? Because there's going to be those nights, man, like especially after a show, it's like now the excitement's kind of coming down. So your mind is going to start looking for like excitement, right? Like it's going to find it. Your mind is going to find itself becoming bored, and then you're going to reach for the chips or the junk food or whatever. So yeah. What's going on, Paul?
What's up, guys?
How are you today?
I'm good. I'm joining in late. What's going on? We're talking about junk foods.
Yeah, we're doing my Zoom, so we only have 6 minutes and 50 seconds left on this podcast. We've got the countdown. Zoom's like counting us down. It's like, we're gonna kick you off if you don't pay us.
I can get us another Zoom meeting after this if you want to.
Erik's got to run around 12:30. So if you want to resubmit the call, and then we'll join your call, we can do that. Okay. So let's do that. We'll see you guys in a minute.
Yeah.
What's going on with you, Paul? You have any really funny contest prep stories?
Jesus, it caught me off guard. Funny contest prep stories. No, I can't. I can't think of anything off the bat right now.
No,
not anything that's like great. Or I know of people who have funny prep stories though.
Okay,
yeah, not mine. I have a buddy, and him and his former coach, are at like each other's necks about this. It's been like 7 years. And I think they still have beef about it. So it's a funny story because I guess my buddy was like 2 weeks or a week out, and he told his coach, listen, I've been sleepwalking to the fridge. So
yeah, right.
Walking to the fridge. And, so I hear, but the funny thing is I know both these guys well. So you hear it from the coach and the athlete. And he's like, oh man, he made me do so much cardio after this, and I was holding so much water, and it's his fault. And then I hear it from the coach. He's like, man, that day, I remember him vividly telling me what he ate, and it was like astronomical. And I know this guy, like this is my buddy who can just about eat flat out anything. The guy ate everything in his parents' fridge, everything. He had like three ice cream containers. Like we're talking about pizzas, like he cleared.
See, that's just another reason not to stockpile anything, because then there's going to be those temptations there, right?
Yeah. But this was his parents. See, I feel that because right now I'm post-show and I'm staying at my mom's place in Kingston. So I haven't been back to my mom's, and I don't know if I showed you a picture. I've been saying this picture around. All she has is like Ritz crackers. She has like a cereal aisle in there. Because I
have a question for you. How many circles, like how many like little holes are there on a Ritz cracker? Do you know?
Does anyone know?
You should know.
No.
It was in a Trivial Pursuit question one time, and I was like, I guessed 5 because I was pretty sure it's 5. I think it's 7 though. How many holes in a Ritz cracker?
They Google it.
The original style are disc shaped, and each cracker has 7 perforations. 7 holes.
7 holes. Interesting.
They use 7 holes because this stops bubbles from expanding and bursting and allows the cracker to bake properly.
Good to know.
Right. Eric, are you still there?
Yeah, I think he is.
Oh, we can't see you. We can't see you.
You can't see me?
Nope.
Sometimes work out here and there.
Did you guys ever cheat on your diet during a contest prep?
Once, yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
So like once again, stockpiling stuff. So at my old job, we used to have this massive freezer, and every time like somebody like once a month would go to the store and buy freeze pops, especially during the summer. So I'm in prep, it's summertime. I was working overnights, and like they kept taunting me, man. Like I walk by the freezer, and I like open up, I'm like, all right,
Jake, we're so tasty.
Yeah. Mind you, like at that point, I think I was only on like 2 or 3 cups of coffee, just black, and then like, water, and like we talked about chicken rice and maybe broccoli or something. So I'm like, all right. I think I was like maybe 3 weeks out. I'm like, walk by, and then finally, it was kind of like a rough shift. So it was like near the end of the shift, I was like, you know what? Screw it. I think I grabbed like 12, I don't know, anywhere between 12 and 20 of those damn things, threw in my cargo pocket, and then just walked out the door, get into my work vehicle, and I just started housing them. It was so bad. I'm like down, and I swear I downed those things in like less than 5 minutes. And like freeze pop's always been a weakness for me ever since I was a kid. So It was just fun. Shit. I was like, fuck, can't believe I just did that. I'm like freaking out. Like, I ended up calling my coach that day. I'm like, hey man, I'm gonna be real with you. I was like, I screwed up last night. So I tell him, he's like, all right, it could have been worse, man. Like, just do some extra cardio. Yeah.
Probably need that.
What about you, Eric? Have you ever slipped up on I feel like you haven't. I feel like
I'm going to be honest with you. I have never slipped up on a contest diet.
I knew it.
Listen, I got a good story here for this. I think I was getting ready for the North Americans at the time, and I was so depleted that I came in my house and laid down on my couch, and my wife was begging me to drink some orange juice because she thought my sugar was going low, and I would not drink the orange juice. She brought it over to me, and she's like, take the orange juice. And I'm like, I'm not ruining my diet for this orange juice. I said, I'll be fine. And I remember just like not drinking it. And I like just probably passed the hell out from low glycemic levels, but I low sugar, glucose. And I was like, I didn't do it. I didn't drink that fucking orange juice is what she tried to give me. She's trying to sabotage me. At one point she was telling me, she was like, listen, I'm going to fucking feed you donuts in your sleep. She was like, you're going to kill yourself. I said, I would die before I eat a damn donut. I said, it's not going to happen. I said, the donut can wait. It's not worth it. I would pass out before I would have cheated on my diet.
It's like it's the principle of it. It's like, because I've met people with different mentalities on this. There's some people where they're contest prepping and they've always got like something just in case I go hypo, I'll have like whatever, like some Gatorade or something, you know, but I was never like that. I was like you, Eric, was like, I'd be on the stairs. I knew that I was going hypoglycemic, but I'd still have like 20 minutes on the stairs or something like that. I would just hang on. And I would just feel like I was floating. And then after, and then I start losing the sensation in my legs. Then afterwards, I would lie down and I would have like, I remember texting my buddy one time and I was like, do you have any BCAAs? Like, can you bring me a and I just, cause I couldn't move. So I just like, that was just enough. So my body like, I guess could have some energy to get home, but I would like, I think I would be like too neurotic about the fact that I needed sugar, but I'm like, oh, you know, I'll just some BCAAs will be good enough. I'll make it home. Right.
I always felt that if I would have done it and I went on stage and I didn't look the way I wanted to, that I would come back to that moment where I had a decision. You know, I'm like, listen, I had this decision and what did I do? You know, honestly, it probably wouldn't have affected me at all. But I just always feel that I always stuck to my diet. If anything, I would maybe bump that meal up that was supposed to be in an hour, maybe bump it up a half hour or so I could get some energy.
You know, there's a weird sense of pride that you have knowing that you like got to that point, you know? It's like I pushed so hard that my sugar levels were like 2.0 and I still didn't cheat. I instead of having dinner, I went to bed for dinner.
That's right. I agree.
Erik said that. Erik told us that story, and it kind of ignited this story I had about when I was in a hotel room, and we're so irrational. Like it was in the hotel room the day before a show, or maybe it was 2 days out, and my buddies were like, man, have some pop, because I thought I was going hypo or something was going on. I'm like, no, just take me to the hospital or something. And I got to get on stage. I can't drink any sugar. I don't want to mess up my look. Just take me. This is in Toronto. I'm like, take me to the hospital. We'll figure it out. And then I'm not thinking rationally, because, you know, they take you away to the hospital. You're done. You're not getting on that stage. But I didn't want to have that sugar either. It's just a weird like mindset you have.
Yeah. Yeah,
I got a good story behind this too. It was kind of goes with just like going in that zone where you get tunnel vision. I was doing like 2 hours of cardio at the time, and I just got done with an hour session. And I left the gym and I just straight had tunnel vision. You know, when you like get in that mentality where nothing affects you. Well, I get in my car and I start driving away from the gym and I fucking rear-ended somebody. I was like, holy fuck. I was like, I do not need this right now.
Fuck.
Dude, listen, it gets better. All right. The guy that I rear-ended was drunk. All right. So he didn't want anything. He was like, you were going to report this? What are we going to do? I'm like, I don't fucking know. I'm good if you're good. He said, I'm good. And we fucking drove away and nothing was ever done with it.
Dude,
there wasn't
crazy.
A lot of damage done to the car, but it was just like crazy how it happened. Cause I just had like that tunnel vision where I'm like, get home. And I was starving and like, bam, just hit him.
Question.
I hit the right person.
People have had car accidents during prep.
No, actually, no, that's actually not true. So when I was leaving a show, I was a week out. This is before I won my pro card. I was 1 week out and I was in a parking garage, and I was at someone else's show, and I was driving them home. Or at least I was supposed to, but I told them, I'm like, I don't think I should drive. I'm really, really tired and I don't feel safe driving. They're like, well, I just competed, so you have to drive. I'm like, oh, fuck. Okay. So, and I remember I was like, hey, like, I think I was distracted, right? Because I was pulling out of the parking garage, but as I was doing that, I was like, oh, hey, like I have a treat for you. It's in the glove box. So I was kind of like reaching over as I was backing out, and it wasn't like huge, but I definitely banged the side of the car into like one of those posts.
Yeah, that's not a big one.
Yeah.
I got T-boned.
That sucks.
Yeah, 4 weeks out from the Arnolds. That was a bad one.
Yeah.
But it was partially like, I think we've all had those days where we're like, we shouldn't be driving.
No.
We shouldn't be driving.
No, I agree. I got another one about driving if you want to hear it.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, I was doing the Dallas Europa. Okay, I think it was one of my first pro shows, and I'd never really traveled far to do any shows. So my boy was real young at the time. We get on the plane, we fly down to Texas. Okay, so I don't know the area at all. We rent a car at the car rental place, we have the GPSs back in the day that you used to stick on the dash because you didn't have like navigation in your car and you didn't have a phone that did navigation at the time. So all you had was this little box pretty much that told you where to go.
Yeah.
All right. So we get to the hotel. We went to the store, got all the food that I'm going to need for the week before the show. And that morning we wake up, go out to the car, the fucking GPS is gone. Our laptop's gone. Someone broke into the car and stole it. Okay, we like are thinking, we're like, what the hell happened? How in the hell did someone break in without actually breaking a window? Well, when we got back from the grocery store, my boy was jumping on the bed and he had the keys and he's just over there fucking jumping around all happy. I'm trying to ignore it because you don't want to get like distracted when you're in contest prep mode. You're just like, I just need to eat this, do this, do this. So he's over there jumping on the bed and he has the keys. We figured out that he unlocked the damn car that when he was jumping on the bed, didn't realize it. We didn't realize it. So someone must have went around and just lifted the handle up, saw the GPS in there, took it. Well, when we went out there, we were supposed to go to like some athlete meeting or something. And I had no idea where to go because I wasn't at the venue where I was supposed to be. So I have no idea where to go. So at that point I'm really trying not to stress. So like the wife is like, oh, we'll get there. We asked some people and we finally got there, but it was about 20 minutes away. But yeah, driving was not for me when I was in contest prep.
Damn.
That's hard. I know. You know what? I yelled at Lee Priest one year. I freaked out at Lee Priest. This is a true story. I was doing the Arnold amateurs.
What year was this, Paul? When was this?
2018. I actually got it on foot. Like, I don't have me freaking out, but I have a conversation that Lee and I had afterwards because he was such a good sport. Actually, he was the coolest guy. So basically, I was in the ballet lot of the Arnold, what's the hotel? Wherever that takes place, the convention.
The Hyatt.
Ohio. Yeah, that's right. So I see this shorter guy. So basically, I woke up that morning and I went on Instagram, which is the stupidest thing to do. They opened up registration early for some reason. So I thought I missed registration, misread some instructions. So I'm freaking out and I drive to the valet parking lot and I see this little guy and I figured he was competing because he was really stocky and big in a hoodie. And I'm like, buddy, has registration taken place? I'm like, and I'm getting worked up because I just want to get in there. And I don't know where to park. I'm like, do you know where to park? Has registration taken place? Are we done? I'm getting all anxious. I'm like, buddy, don't pretend you can't fucking hear me. I'm freaking out. And then the guy turns around and he's got the Mike Tyson. And I'm like, that's weird. I'm like, how many people have a tattoo like that on their face? It looks like Lee Priest. And I'm like, holy shit. I think that is Lee Priest. So I run out of my car and I'm like, oh man, I'm a huge fan. I'm really sorry. I'm just anxious because, I thought I missed registration and I came all the way from, Canada to go to Ohio here to compete. And he's like, don't worry, as long as you have money, that's all they care about, that fucking IFBB or whatever, Lee Priest. And he was just being Lee Priest and he was such a cool guy. And he's like, yeah, just go in there. They'll take your money no matter what. I'm like, okay. And then I said, do you mind if I take a video with you? And he was like, all cool about it. So anyways, that's my story about getting mad at Lee Priest. He's got pretty thick skin.
That's pretty cool, man. Honestly, like I've never met Lee Priest or anything, but he seems like, just the way he portrays himself, he seems like he doesn't take things like super seriously or personal, No,
he didn't take it personally at all. He was such a cool guy.
What do you think, Erik, like before we kind of wrap up here, I'm curious to know what you think about some of the more old school bodybuilders. Now they're coming on and they're doing like these podcasts and stuff. But do you feel like there should be a more of a positive spin on like old school bodybuilding meeting the new school bodybuilding? Because I feel like a lot of the times there's almost too much like bashing going on, like with the newer guys. It's like because we have different situations, like now we have social media and stuff. It's like I feel like anyways, a lot of the old school guys, they tend to look down upon the newer school guys. Do you feel the same way, or what do you think about that?
No, I don't look down upon anybody for that. I mean, I think it's just you're using all your avenues, man. It's the best thing to do. I mean, everything evolves. I mean, if you weren't doing your podcast and social media, I mean, you'd fall behind. I mean, the bodybuilding is a different game, but I mean, you have to evolve. You know what I mean? You have to do what's in, and that's what's in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't blame you for doing anything like that.
Or
hate on you, I guess I should say. I don't hate on anyone for that, because in all honesty, like we were talking back the other podcast we did about the forums. I mean, pretty much you had to do that then. Now you got to do your social media. So I mean, it's just the times change.
It's just a different time too, right? Like it's like anything changes and evolves. And I totally get that. Like during your time, like your years of competing, those are going to be the most meaningful to you because that's your experience. You know, same thing with me, with Paul, with Jake, with anybody. It's like those memories that you have, those are going to be the best ones, obviously. But it's, you know, there's something to be said about how this sport is evolving and changing. And I just felt like, I kind of felt like during the Arnold, there was maybe a little bit too much, I don't know, like maybe like negativity or whatever you want to call it, but maybe just the discussion where what Arnold was saying or what like Amanda was saying about Steve, it's like you kind of just let it be, you know. Like I don't think you need to comment on like what people are using like performance enhancing wise. Like I don't think that's professional to discuss on a live stream during the show or to talk negatively about the competitors in your own show, you know, like as Arnold. He should be hyping up the athletes more, I believe, right? It's like, look how amazing these guys are. Look how much work they've put in. But it kind of had a different spin. It was almost like, look at Nick, look at his weird looking leg veins and look how much stuff he has to use. I was like, I didn't like that. I was like, if I could change one thing about the show, I would change that live stream commentary. I think that Cedric was amazing. We need more Cedric. And then we need less people that have like opinions, you know, because it's an opinion sport, but it's the judges' opinions, not necessarily the commentators' opinions. The commentator's job, in my opinion, is to analyze what's going on and then break it down into layman's terms for people that don't understand the sport as much. And then also just kind of keep a positive commentary going. Like just that's pretty much all you have to do, right?
You're right.
I believe though, like, honestly, it comes down to like end result. I don't care what you did to get where you're at, what advantages you took. It comes down to the end result of, I just care how you look on stage. If you want to do those things, that's whatever you do. I think that if you're not doing it, then you're not taking advantage of everything that you've had the opportunity to do. So you should take advantage. Who cares if you had to do 7 hours of cardio or someone did 0 hours of cardio? It doesn't matter as long as the end result is what you want it to look like on stage. So regardless of people having different opportunities or gear that they're using, I think it comes down to, we should just look at what you look like on stage, really not how you got there. Who cares? Like you said, let the judges judge and the best man should win.
Exactly. Did you watch the Arnold at all, Jake?
I watched like a few snippets here and there. Yeah. It's been like really, like my kids are so little.
Okay.
And I'm tied up, kind of like Erik. I'm tied up now with baseball, dance, outs, and then like here and there doing stuff. So, but like I heard the commentary, I thought the same thing. I'm like, come on, man. Like, you know, let's cut that negativity. Let's kind of like, for me, like obviously bodybuilding is big, but it's also such a small community. You would think you'd want to lift each other up. Like, why not boast about how good somebody looks on stage? I mean, regardless of Gains, like he was the most dialed in, man. I couldn't get over like that, like how tight everything was. Like it baffled me.
Exactly, dude. Yeah. Let's focus on that versus like focusing on like the shit that we don't need to talk about. Right. But I thought it was a little weird because Arnold didn't go on stage with Nick, whereas he goes on stage with all the other winners. So I was like, that's a little weird, you know, like the Arnold is a very prestigious show, right? And I think we have to, in order to maintain that, we have to keep it like these competitors, they're all elite, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, they really are. So even like guys that place outside of the top 5, like those are guys that can win pro shows. So this is, you know, it's not, I don't think it's right to say that the open bodybuilders are not as pretty as the classic guys or whatever, because again, that's just opinion, right? For me, I prefer the look of open bodybuilding, but I'm not going to tell people that want to do classic or physique that what they want to do is not as good.
Oh,
anyway, right? It's just as epic. It's just a different perspective on what you want your body to look like.
It's a different use of genetics, but these guys are crusty, right? They're older. We were talking about this, Robbie Robinson too. I mean, and Arnold are from the generation where they had specific criteria in the sport. Like the criteria has changed. Yes. The sport has changed. The sport's evolved. And like, how many old guys do you know? Like, think about your grandparents. Like, what's he going to say about what's going on in the world right now? I was talking to my grandmother about, some of the social justice stuff that's going on, and she doesn't understand anything. Yeah. Like, it's surprising. To me, it's actually a miracle that Arnold is so forgiving of some of the things that are going on in bodybuilding nowadays, because it's not the same sport. But yeah, I mean, being a promoter, it's funny because if you watch Arnold speak to the athletes and what was going on in the sport in the 80s and the 90s when they used to televise it on CBC, Erik, you know what I'm talking about, right? When you used to get these televised events right before 2000, Arnold was really, 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 hyping everything up, hyping everyone up. And he never had anything negative to say at all. And now his perspective's like totally changed. I just think he's a crusty old guy now.
But that's what I'm saying, right? It's like, that's why, I love chatting with Erik and stuff, because you still bring like a positive or neutral perspective to things. Whereas I feel like, like a lot of the times it kind of gets lost. Like you remember, like, this is how you got to where you were. Like, this sport was the reason that you are who you are. So, you have to remember your roots and where you came from, right? And I guess respect the sport that got you to where you are, especially with guys like, we don't need to name too many names, but there are definitely some guys from the 80s or the 90s or the 70s or whatever they're still relevant. But I think it's I don't know if we have a job, but if we did have a job, it's to maintain the positive direction of the sport.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well said.
Yeah. I love to see people just get better. You know what I mean? It's all about everyone getting better. I don't care who you are.
That's what it's all about. Exactly, man. That's it. If you're a person who's willing to get better every single day, push yourself, and not only that, but also share that positivity with other people, then you're doing it right.
Well, you got crusty characters like Sergio right now. Like, I mean, he, as much as he has positive things to say, he'll throw in a couple negative things all the time, right? So not everybody's going to be a positive person like Erik.
I think it's one of those things that it's like you were saying, like, it's choices, right? You have a choice. How you're going to show up with people, right? Like, you might not be having a great day. That's fine. That's your issue and whatever. But when you show up with someone else, you have a choice whether you want to like drag them down, like, hey, how's it going? And you're like, oh, like, it's shitty because this happened and I got this, and then there's that, and this other problem and this. And then by the time you're done explaining what's going on, the other person's like, oh shit, what did I walk into? Right? Versus that stuff might still be happening in your life, but you can still be like, hey man, like, I'm doing great. Like, let's go fucking crush it right now.
Yeah. If I can talk to someone or message someone on social media and just make them feel a little better each day, that I feel like I'm doing a good job. Yeah. I never try to like cut people down. People will message me all the time and ask me questions. I answer the questions the best that I can. I might not be the best at it, but they'll send me pictures of their contest prep or whatever, and I'll tell them what I think, but I'm always positive about it, because you never know. I mean, that could be the next Mr. Olympia, or it could be someone that never does anything. It doesn't matter. They should still get the same respect from you.
Exactly. I totally agree. Whether it's like a good question or a bad question, sometimes people ask me things and it's not really a question. It's kind of like, it's just very general, and I'll still try to help them out the best I can by saying, hey, like, I totally understand what you're saying here. Like, what's your goals, or what's the most important thing to you, or, what's the end goal that you're trying to achieve? Because if I can get more information from this person, then I can help them better. Right. Instead of just immediately dismissing them like, oh, that's not a question, bro. Come back when you have a better question. It's like,
yeah.
Yeah.
And like the mindset I've always had is like, you never really know what somebody's going through in life. And like that interaction that you have with them could literally change their whole perspective on their day or their week or anything. So that's why I try treating people the way that like I want to be treated, or just with respect in general.
Totally agree, man. You never, like you said, you never know what someone's going through, because people can hide that really well. Has got their struggles, and especially in like the last year or so, with like how much the social economic dynamic has kind of changed. Like I think people now, it's like when people reach out, it's almost more crucial that you like are in a clear mind when you reply to somebody, or when you meet someone face to face. Like if someone comes up to you, I think that takes a lot of courage, especially if it's like in a gym setting and stuff. Someone comes up to you and they're like, hey, Eric, or hey, Jake, or hey, Paul, hey, Robin, whatever. Like, I'm a big fan and I want to kind of learn something from you. Like, this is the time for me to shine. Right now, I can change this person's day, maybe change their life, depending on how I respond to this. Yeah. So there's a big opportunity there, right? Because there's growth too. Like I always kind of, there's growth too. Like I always kind of see myself in the future becoming like a teacher or something like of that nature. And so therefore, when I'm teaching things to people, I try to break it down in a way that I also learn. Like teaching somebody something is a great way for you to learn that thing as well. Like it's like reinforcing that knowledge and then getting that experience with an individual as well.
Yeah. And indirectly, that makes you feel better about yourself too. Definitely. I mean, by putting people down, you're not doing anything but exacerbating your current problem that you have, especially if you're putting people down because you're feeling, insecurities or something. And
not even if you're putting them down, but like I said, I really hate the feeling of like, let's say I'm like, Eric, like, listen, man, like, can I just, tell you how shitty my day was? Well, I got in a car accident and I owe this money, and, this person is bothering me and this went wrong. It's like, dude, like that's making me feel worse, because I'm telling you all these shitty things that happen. It's making you feel worse. And then you're going to be like, Robin, don't worry about it, man. Like you'll be fine. Or like, what else can you say to that? Right? Like when someone like expresses all these issues, the only thing you can really do is try to comfort them. But I hate that. If I have an issue and someone tries to comfort me, it's like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. It's like, or it's like, oh, you're fine. It's like, I don't want to hear that, because that's not helpful. To me, the only thing that's helpful is the solution, right? So it's like, okay, like whatever the problem is, XYZ, I would rather someone give me tough love. Like, hey, you know what? Stop being a bitch. Go get it done right now. Whatever that or go deal with it and come back later, right? I like that. Personally, I like that tough love. But yeah.
Tough love and honesty is one thing, but it's the delivery too, right? It's the delivery and knowing when to deliver that information or that.
For sure. And that's my rant for this week anyways. But listen, guys, I know this one's a little bit shorter than usual, but I love having you guys on. Thanks for coming on, Jake. I'm going to cut it now because I know Erik's got to go and I don't want to make you late, Erik. But would love to have you guys on again. If we can do another one in a couple of weeks, then that would be really, really cool. Maybe we can talk about the Olympia or something like that as well.
Oh, definitely.
Sweet. Is there anything that you would like to say, Jake, before we head off? Because last time we gave Erik the last word, we'll give you the last word today.
Not really. Like, I appreciate you time out of your day to have me on here and be able to rant and kind of get opinions from you guys and voice mine. It's definitely been a good time, and looking forward to the time too.
For sure, man. And what does your shirt say?
It says, do the fucking work.
There we go. Do the fucking work.
One of my sponsors, Lift Vet. It's a veteran-owned company. Nice. So, but yeah, they have a lot of different cool like sayings. This is one of my favorites. So I probably have like 6 of these, like whether stringers or shirts. But obviously, like because of PC culture, you got to censor everything. So that's why they end up putting their logo over the U.
Yeah.
So
I do the same thing because I have the sweaters and it says no fucking excuses. So I put like an asterisk there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good mix again.
Eric, I had some people asking about the pumpkin spice coffee.
Oh yeah, pumpkin spice coffee's good. I'm gonna actually do a video on the pumpkin spice coffee here soon, so I'll be posting it up. I got a pretty funny video I'm gonna do.
Is the pumpkin spice, because it's limited, is that available until the end of October?
Yeah, I would say probably the end of November.
Supplies, like until supplies run out, kind of a thing.
Yeah,
fair enough. Yeah.
And then it's candy cane for December or something.
Oh hell yeah, you know it.
Yeah, unreal.
don't forget to tag us in the adverts, Erik. Whenever you put a story on or something, I wouldn't mind throwing that on my page.
Awesome, I will. Also, just so you know, Jake is like, you know how I'm known for like calves. Jake's known for biceps. Just throwing that out there, Jake.
Oh yeah.
I get all the attention for my calves. He gets it for his biceps. So.
What are the guns measuring, Jake?
Last time I checked, they were right at 22, like a little bit over.
Oh damn, that's big, man.
He's got peak, bro. Check him out on Instagram. He's got some peak. It's crazy. It's crazy as peak.
How tall are you, Jake?
I'm only just a little over 5'9".
Okay.
Damn. That's crazy.
Yeah, check him out on Instagram. His biceps are crazy.
Yeah, the 22-inch guns on Jake. I'm gonna post the Instagram. I'll put everybody's Instagram out, but okay, guys, sounds good. Thanks so much for your time. Looking forward to chatting again real soon. Have a great day, guys.
Thanks.
All right. See you later.